Okay, I think we can start. So soon enough, we will be discussing here setting up your offices, your operations in Cyprus, from costs to challenges and things to consider. The shifting sands of regulation brings with it physical shifting as well, relocation from Cyprus to other regions and hubs. So we're here to provide hands-on data and information about these moves in order to facilitate them and make them as effective as possible. Laura Salvetta, Director of Marketing at 120advertising.com and a veteran industry participant in Cyprus, will lead the discussion. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
I don't hear a round of applause for some reason, but okay, that's more than...
Thank you, and I would like to welcome you all to the panel today, Setting Up in Cyprus and Everything You Need to Know. We'll start with, firstly, an introduction from everybody, if you can say a few words.
Hello. Hello, I'm Alexandros Constantinou, Director and Head of Compliance Department of MEPS Pladis. MEPS Pladis is a consulting firm, for those of you who don't know, who provide regulatory advice to financial services in Cyprus and other related services.
Good morning, my name is Donna Stevenson. I'm from GRS Recruitment, locally based in Limassol and Nicosia, also operational in Malta, providing recruitment, payroll and HR outsourcing services.
Hello, my name is Yannis Pettemeridis. I'm an accountant by profession. I am providing regulatory compliance advisory services to the industry for the last 15 years. Half of it, I was based in the UK, providing those services to FCA regulated entities.
Good morning, my name is Claudiu Ghebaru. I am working already within the FX industry for several years already. Right now I'm an FX business consultant for Eastern European countries.
So I'd like to kick off the panel by saying, obviously recently there's a lot of controversy in the news with regards to online trading and companies coming and setting up in Cyprus. My question to you is, do you feel this has caused reputational damage to the country as a whole for the online trading industry? What's your opinion? That's directed at all of you.
Yes, indeed, the industry is under the spotlight recently, and is under the close attention of the local regulator as well as the other European regulators and ESMA as a supranational authority. There are various reasons why this happened. We've seen, for example, from an 8% complaints in Europe in 2014 as part of the whole complaints received by national authorities, an increase to 39% of the whole complaints in Europe with respect to CFDs and other similar products in 2015. So there was a sharp increase, which has led to this attention to the industry, as well as the aggressive marketing and followed by many companies out there. Surely this type of information and data and observation we've seen about the practices followed by industry participants have indeed created I could say, and damaging to the reputation of Cyprus. Not all of the industry participants in Cyprus, of course, have been acting in this way. There have been a few only acting in this way, but I believe that with proper management and the right actions by the regulators and the industry as a whole, they can be managed and for sure bring back the good name of Cyprus as a financial services center.
Yannis, do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, I was going to say that I don't think it's just a Cyprus issue. I think it's a general FX industry issue. And of course, it's obvious if Cyprus has 80% of the industry, he will also get 80% of the spotlight. I agree with what Alexandros has said. There are many challenges, but there were always challenges in the industry right from the beginning. It's not an industry for the faint-hearted. It's a tough industry, and things are always changing. Challenges will always be there. There are more challenges coming in the future. So I see it a little bit about, it has always been like that, it will always be like that. So it's a matter about which companies are willing to adopt or which companies like to think of the good old days. Thank you.
Donna, tell me, obviously you're trying to bring a lot of people to come to Cyprus. How does this maybe possible effect on reputation affect their opinion and their want to come to Cyprus?
Okay, definitely we've seen a decline in overseas applications, but I think that there are opportunities elsewhere in Europe to be had, higher salaries perhaps, better or bigger opportunities available in other financial centers. We also see now that many brokers are operational in Bulgaria, for example, or looking currently at Romania, and I believe we'll discuss Romania later in this panel. So yeah, definitely a small decrease in the number of applicants from overseas.
Claudia, you're based in Romania, and so obviously Cyprus is a big, how can I say, a big player in the industry. So how do people talk about Cyprus when you're speaking to them in Romania?
You know, I will analyze this situation from a complete different angle. Basically, your main question was about if the taxation legislation from Cyprus was a magnet, and mainly if it brought companies in Cyprus. Indeed, it was a competitive advantage and a competitive edge, but I think it was not the only one by far. In my point of view, I truly believe that the friendly environmental, regulator-wise speaking, it was another magnet to bring a lot of company in Cyprus. But allow me please just to make a short recap of the latest measures taken by the CISEC within the last year. So basically, the first one, CISEC completely forbade any bonus policy or scheme. Second of all, it mandated the default leverage to 1 to 50. The third one, right now, for the Cypriot brokers to onboard overseas client, they have to get a specific approval from that particular authority from that country, and the last examples are Spain and Germany. Okay, additionally, if we are taking in consideration that starting from January 2018, the MiFID II and EMIR requirements will be in place, and each single broker will have to adhere and to act accordingly, I truly believe that the FX industry and the financial landscape from Cyprus has fundamentally changed.
Scary stuff. So I would like to know, unfortunately Lucia couldn't come to the panel this morning. However, this is a question open to any of you. The online trading industry, what does it really contribute to the Cypriot economy? And if, as you say, Claudio, we have challenges in comparison to these other countries and online, the companies want to go to other places, what kind of vulnerability does that expose to the Cypriot economy?
All right. Over the last maybe 20 years, foreign investment in Cyprus has been probably after tourism the #2 source of money to the economy. And especially over the last 10 years with the FX industry, they gave a lot of jobs to a lot of people. Probably the unemployment in Cyprus would be much higher if that industry was not here. Employees and taxes and service providers, accountants. So if you take it all together, I think probably the industry is around number 2 currently in Cyprus after tourism in terms of cash inflows to the economy.
And in terms of job creation, you only have to look across many job sites, including my own GRS recruitment, to see how high volume of positions within the forex sector and the fintech sector. So there's been a lot of job creation, and with that then is the payment of taxes, social insurance contributions, spending in the local economy. So this has been a really positive thing, and like Yannis mentioned, that it has contributed to job creation, so is in some way working towards reducing that unemployment statistic.
Does it expose us? Are we vulnerable in any way, or a company that sets up here? How do you feel, Alexandra?
Yes, I mean it's the online forex industry in Cyprus, it's become an important sector of the economy. And I happen to have some figures in front of me. Based on some studies, it is estimated that it contributes around 3 to 4% of the GDP. There are not many industries in Cyprus that contribute that much to the economy. Of course, tourism is the biggest sector, as Yannis said. Also, as Donna said, there are plenty of jobs created from the online industry. And again, based on some figures we have, only the forex CFDs and binary sector contribute directly around 4,000 to 5,000 jobs directly. And we are estimating another 1,000 to 2,000 indirect jobs through service providers or different related services to this sector, support services. Besides the employment and the taxes, you have these are high-paid jobs usually, which people tend to spend in restaurants, in houses, in apartments. It's a whole cycle. So yes, it's for sure the industry is very important, and in case of if, for example, tomorrow this didn't exist, it will have, I believe, a serious effect in the economy of Cyprus, and especially Limassol, which most of the brokers are based. For sure, we don't expect this to happen, but it's something that regulators and the government and the whole industry must think about when any actions are taken.
We're all going to become beach bums. So, Donna, this is a question directed at you. There's been a huge, as we just discussed, there's been a huge growth in Cyprus of expats. What percentage or what number of the population are employed by the industry? And I mean, how does that equate to, let's say, your business in GRS? And how do you source the talents? What's the average salary? Just tell us a little bit about that and why they come to Cyprus.
Yeah, I think Alexandra's just mentioned there's some statistics regarding the number of jobs that have been created and the forecast and the prospects for employment creation. Within GRS recruitment, 1 in 2 placements are within the forex and fintech sector. So, we're looking at brokers, payment solutions, payment processing, platforms, bridge. So these are all creating jobs from junior, middle and senior levels. The most buoyant being sales, sales operational out of Cyprus. Positive things or the advantage of having your sales team set up in Cyprus is that there are a high number of native English-speaking personnel available. And the industry has been going for, I think the oldest brokerage here in Forex is 25 plus years. So we have the talent, we have experienced talent. So sales, very buoyant, a lot of jobs offered for, amongst brokerages and also platform providers. looking to hire sales. So sales are lucrative positions with the enhancements to their earnings through commissions. Right through to compliance and regulatory, as Yanis and both Alexandros have mentioned today, that regulation is becoming tighter, and therefore more brokerages have to take compliance seriously, have to make sure that they have a fully skilled, talented individual on their staff taking care of the compliance, ensuring that their organization is complying to CISEC regulations and ESMA.
Does salary contribute in any way for opportunities for brokers setting up here?
I think we've definitely seen an increase in salaries, not massively within the sector, but as more brokers are operational in Cyprus, then the demand for talent is high. It creates competition, and therefore. Particularly for sales, as I mentioned, sales again, because that's where the majority of the job creation is, job vacancies are. Sales positions, if you have an experienced candidate, that experienced candidate can command 200, 300, up to 500 euros more per month just from having experience working within a brokerage in Cyprus. So yes, I mean, to answer your question, yes, salaries, it does affect salaries, and we are seeing an increase in salaries based on the competition for talent in the market.
Tell me this, so obviously CISEC are bringing a lot more regulations with regards to how trained employees need to be within companies. I mean, is that something that either of you would look towards from a training perspective, I don't know, with these brokers, or is that an opportunity?
Yes, training in the financial industry is a very important aspect and one of the pillars of success of a financial center. Without trained people, you cannot have growth, you cannot have proper setup, proper management and prospects. For sure, the changing regulatory landscape and demands even more training as new regulations and new rules and new ways of doing things demand that people remain up to speed. And this is a fast-paced industry, and people need to keep on top of things. Sure, training, we give emphasis, and as well as the regulator by extent, which puts demand on the regulated entities to train their people all the time. We've seen also recently some new institutions emerging that provide specific training for this industry, and we are looking at initiatives across the industry in this area. And yes, I mean, training is a very important aspect, yes.
Claudio, can I ask you, within Romania specifically, I mean, we are talking about Eastern Europe when we're referring to this, but there aren't that many brokers set up yet. How does it work with regards to employment there and how educated the people are about online trading? Is there any kind of resources with regards to training or preparing them? How does it compare?
Well, this is a very good question, and the starting point in this conversation, I think, should be the next one. The $1 million question is, does CISEC allow outsourcing the key departments of its business, like sales, sales, back office, or marketing? And the answer is specified in the Circular 181, which was issued, if I recall well, in January or February, which this states very, very clear. Outsourcing this kind of services in countries which are members of European Union are allowed if these activities are ran either from a branch, either from a tied agent, but to be strictly accordingly under the responsibility with the CIF itself, with the company. Coming back to this question right now, I can tell you about Romania that up to now Romania is between 18 and 20 million inhabitants. Out of this, more than 50% which are working in any industry are speaking a second language. English, unofficial in Romania, English is the second language spoken. But apart of this, you can find very easily French, Italian, German, Arabic, Russian, Spanish speakers as well. And allow me please to make a comparison with, let's say, with a few other industries, because we are saying in Romania that we are living in an outsourcing economy. Basically, companies as Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, Ford, Renault, even Deutsche Bank, companies from many other sectors came in Romania 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago. Why? To look high-skilled personnel, and second of all, to cut their costs in their headquarters. Even though we are speaking about London, we are speaking about States, all these companies, or of course, Western Europe, all these companies came in Romania to find this high-skilled personnel. So they found it. Right now, in Romania, I can tell you that the IT sector, it's one of the best from entire Europe. And right now, Romania is called Silicon Valley of Europe. This information are not public, but still you can find a lot of related topics.
Claudio, you have to stop. You're scaring me. Stop stealing all our companies.
Likewise.
That's the truth, and our official data.
Thank
See,
you.
in Cyprus, we also have a very highly talented workforce, but unfortunately, we can't compete. Just listening to you now with regards to the languages, the European languages that are available in Romania, we do struggle to find an abundance of, say, Italian speakers, French speakers, German speakers. We do have Arabic speakers, plenty of those, native English, of course, but we do struggle to attract talent from other European language speakers to positions in Cyprus. So it's a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, let me share a secret with you and our amazing audience.
We thought the secret was the sunshine, but obviously they're not coming for that.
Do you know where this age comes from? Like 10 years ago, a lot of Romanians left the country and went to Germany, to Spain, to Italy, to all the countries from the Western Europe. And right now, imagine that right now only in Spain are living more than 1.5 million. In Italy are over 1.5 million. All these individuals, after time spent over there, they're coming and they're speaking so very good, amazing, this language.
That makes sense, yeah. Whereas the Cypriots are going overseas to a UK or US university, rarely are they choosing an alternative European university. And indeed, the stats show that there are more Cypriots attending local Cyprus-based universities, which may also be at the detriment of developing their English native or near-native level language skills.
I'm going to bring you all back to setting up and talking about regulation, because I know that that's the question on everybody's lips. So we have currently, 2 days ago, 225 regulated investment firms. Yanis, I'm going to ask you, can you walk us through the process of setting up a company here from a regulatory perspective? What are the kind of timelines? What are the costs? Talk to us about how the whole thing operates.
Okay. I will tell you the secret on how you will get a license approval guaranteed in any EU regulator. You need to tick some boxes to the regulator. And it's about how prepared and how organized and how clever you are in ticking those boxes. The first thing, you need to be sure why you want an EU license. It may sound obvious that for some people, I want an EU license because I will be targeting EU clients. But you will be surprised to know that many times the reasons that I get of why someone wants an EU license has nothing to do with actually putting all that effort and all that cost to get that license. I had a very recent case. I'm doing business in Malaysia, my clients are in Malaysia, and I want an EU license. And the reason is because an EU license is very prestigious in Malaysia.
How does it compare to the FCA?
Sorry?
How does it compare to the FCA license? How do they consider it?
The UK license? I'm talking about an EU license. So what I'm saying is for the UK, for Germany, for Cyprus, etc. Now, the next step, so the first box is make sure that you actually need an EU license and you need it for the right reasons. The second one is you need to be able to prove to any regulator that you have the finance, you have the money to set up such a company and be able to support it until it becomes profitable, to become self-sustained. And there is a misunderstanding here that I need 125,000 to set up a brokerage firm, 730,000 to set up a market maker firm. That's completely wrong. You need that, but you cannot touch that money. You need to maintain that level of capital at all times. So actually, if you use some of those money, you need to put them back. Costs are significantly higher. It can range from 100,000 per year, and it can go up to no limit. It depends whether you want an office with a sea view or a mountain view. It depends of how many people you want. So that's the second tick, having the money and be able to prove to the regulator that I have the money. And more importantly, be able to prove to the regulator that those money come from legitimate sources. That's very important. Box number 3, you need to have the management, the right people. You can call them directors, you can call them compliance team, you can call them head of the investment department. You need to have the people with experience. That's not an easy thing to do, finding the right people. Donna, I'm sure, can help you in this. And probably Donna can confirm that, how difficult it is to finding the right people.
I mean, not so difficult. I wouldn't use the word difficult because, you know, the talent does exist. Now it's just about having the right proposition for the individual. So, you know, there's very, very good, very strong talent available in Cyprus. Just has to be the right offering to attract that individual to whatever department that be it the executive director, be it the compliance manager, be it the head of sales. So no, there is an abundance of talent. My services, of course, are focusing on attracting, screening, and offering that talent to the industry, and offering as many opportunities to the individual so that the individual can decide on whom they would like to be employed by. So not difficult in a sense, but I think the most difficulty we have is sourcing salespeople with foreign languages or native, you know, fluent English speakers for sales positions.
Thanks, Donna, for seeing that I'm wrong. All right, box number 4, you need to have a business plan. And I'm talking about an actual business plan, not some template that you get from somewhere that probably will not show what the reality will be. Having a sound business plan and be able to prove to the regulator that you thought about how the numbers will fit in making your company successful, it's of critical importance. And box number 5, yes. Or I lost the count?
Yes.
Box number 5, you need to be able to prove to the regulator that you have the procedures and the controls in place to be fully compliant. You need to be able to prove to them that apart from you growing your business, At the same time, you will be in accordance to the regulation. And you have the means, and you have the procedures, and you have the controls in place to ensure that your company will be on full compliance to the regulation. And there is number 6 that I forgot what it is.
Number 6 is definitely don't go to Romania. I'm only joking. Alexandra, do you have any comments on that?
I think Yannis more or less covered the procedure that, and as he mentioned, the boxes that you need to tick to apply for a license. I just wanted to add some recent changes that have occurred recently in the application processes to CISEC. I'm talking about the local regulator. I'm happy to talk also about a bit on FCA's difference, but in terms of CISEC, if you are a forex company, the local regulator now demands that you have 2 local executive directors. In the past, you could have 1 executive director abroad, 1 in Cyprus, and as well as 2 non-executive directors in Cyprus as well. So the requirement in the past was that the majority of the board had to be in Cyprus. The minimum was 4 members. 2 of them had to be executive, 2 non-executive. 1 of the executives could be abroad. Now, CISEC demands that you have 2 executives in Cyprus. So if you want to have somebody abroad, you could still have him, but at least 2 executives must be in Cyprus. Also, we have, if you are again a forex broker, you need to have an in-house compliance function. What does that mean? You need to hire a person, a physical person, who will be situated in your office and be assigned the compliance function. Also, in the past, you could get a conditional license. What does it mean? You could make an application to CISEC, submit, as Yannis said, the procedure, all the different documentation that is supposed to be submitted with an application, but you didn't need to have the office in place, you didn't need to have all your stuff in place, you didn't need to have your trading system in place, and all this, you are given the license and were set as condition to fulfill before you were able to operate. Now this has changed. Now you need to fulfill all the requirements and have an operational business before you get the license. And once you get the license, you are able to start working as usual.
Which unfortunately then is quite costly to maintain the operations whilst you're waiting for the license to be granted, especially when you're looking at staffing costs, and also you're looking at retaining the staff too, that a number of months can pass by where you have a full complement of staff to satisfy the regulator, but needing, several months to actually get the license, have the license activated, and then go live.
That is a huge point.
Let me also add something, Donna, to that. It is indeed has increased the cost because now you need to hire staff more early than before. However, this
in-house compliance
yes.
too, whereas before you could have an outsourcing cost. Now it's
correct.
On
However,
staff.
the hiring of the staff will need to happen only 1-2 months before the granting of the license. You can still submit an application to the regulator without a full organizational structure,
But
and
no
just
one-
before you get the license, you are given a letter by the regulator to hire all the staff and set up the office. They will come and check if these conditions are fulfilled and give you the license, which you would usually take 1-2 months. for
Who's
that
going to
stage.
do all the groundwork, though, if you don't have the staff?
Obviously, you need to have some people, when you apply, somebody responsible that is taking care of the licensing process from the applicant side. This person should be able to coordinate, or the shareholders to coordinate the hiring of the relevant staff to manage this process.
And in your experience, how long is it taking now to activate a license?
Last case we had, from the moment you get the letter from SAISEC to fulfill certain conditions before the license. Then it depends on the regulated entity how fast it will take them to set up the office, hire the people, and fulfill the conditions. We have seen cases that takes 3 months for somebody to fulfill because they work slow, or we've seen cases that they work fast and they did it in 1 month. After that you fulfill the condition, the regulator, you submit the information to the regulator will then examine the information you submitted and come to you at an on-site inspection to check that indeed what you said you've done, it was done correctly. Usually this happens within a few weeks, not a month, within a few weeks. And after, well, if they confirm that indeed you fulfill the condition, it takes another about a few weeks to 1 month to issue the actual license, the paper itself.
Can I open some questions up to the audience, please? Richard, of course.
Hi, my name is Richard Herney. Just a question. You know, first of all, I'm an expat that's moved in here at an executive level. I think that Cyprus is an absolutely great draw for tax reasons alone. So one of the biggest factors of me coming into this country is because of the tax reasons, as well as the safety and security of being in a family, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's a great draw for Cyprus. The second thing I wanted to touch on was the licensing process and like going through that. I found a very clear, simple answer to that: 3 to 6 months. I have a CIF, portfolio management license, 3 to 6 months. It's not me that did that, it was my accountant and my lawyer that did that. So if I check all of my boxes, here you go, lawyer, you pay the lawyer, you pay your accountant. I would say that the best way to get that done is have some sort of connections here in Cyprus. Don't think that you're gonna walk onto this island and go apply for a license and take a license down. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. The second question I just had for Donna was, one of my experiences here as well in Cyprus was that there was more jobs than candidates. So there's more job openings than candidates. Some of the classic examples of that would be in INFX, for example, 200 open seats, IQ options, 100 open seats. So it's really to try to find some of these strong candidates to fill these sales positions has been a struggle in this country. Is there any way that we can change? I mean, obviously we're seeing the average salary increasing up and the average salary going from, you know, 1,500 to 1,700 for a junior level salesperson. Is there any?
I think, you know, that's where it needs to go. Definitely the base salaries need to improve. If we look at, say, London, for example, a base salary there is starting around 50,000. Now, it's half that, not even in Cyprus. So how are we going to attract a native English speaker that will come here for taxation purposes, low taxation on their employee salary, low social insurance contributions, the sunshine? Cyprus voted recently as one of the safest places to live in the world. So all of these things are very attractive. The climate here very attractive, but the finances need to be there. And so then that's looking at the industry. You know, if you've got a problem in the industry where you can't actually source the right talent, why can you not source the right talent? Why can we not attract from these other financial jurisdictions where you're getting experience? And you're not only getting experience, but experience under a regulator such as the FCA or any other European regulator, France regulator, Belgium, I don't know, New Zealand, for example. So Cyprus is very well positioned for the attraction, but we have an issue with paying. Yeah, it's the finances which really need to increase.
We have time for one more question.
I'm Bonaventure from Singapore. If a company were to try and set up here, but within 6 months, they are not able to get the things in place, what happens next?
All right, I said before, ticking the boxes, I actually owe you a 6 box that I remember now, sorry about it. I just wanted to say, before answering your question, that the 6 was about realizing that this is not a one-off exercise, right? You get the license and you need to prove again and again and again those boxes through the life of the company. So going back to your question, as what Alexandros said, it depends about a lot of factors. It depends about the quality of the initial application. It depends about how fast we can respond to any queries from the regulators. I think within 4 to 6 months, SciSec will reply whether your license is approved or not. If you tick the boxes that I mentioned, you will get the license. If you don't, then simple as that, they will just decline it.
I think you need to speak to the board after this, and they'll wrap it up for you in 6 months. Claudio, I'm going to just quickly ask you, and if you can just give a very short answer. What are the kind of top 3 reasons that companies would go to Eastern Europe instead of Cyprus to set up?
And perhaps specify some rates, some prices of setup, that sort of thing.
Okay. The main reason which companies might go to Eastern European countries like Romania and Bulgaria is the fact that the solutions provided over there, first, are cost effective. Second of all, according to SciSec, you can run these activities internally through a branch or tight agent, which should be placed within European Union member state. And the only 2 countries right now which are cheaper than Cyprus are Romania and Bulgaria. For example, in Romania, the gross average salary for an individual who speaks a foreign language is between 780 up to 850 euro. The second aspect, which might be very important for the company, is the cost of rental of an A-class building office, which stands between 9 to 12 euro per square meter. And as well, Bucharest, it's at maximum 3 hours flight away of any major European countries. However, this solution and this opportunity, it's more feasible for the brokers, because it's definitely that a lot of brokers will face difficulties within the new regulations. And if they still want to remain SciSec regulated, because SciSec is still a very respectable regulator, they have these opportunities to go in that countries.
Thank you. And just to wrap up, this is a question for all of you. There's a lot about SciSec happening. There's new regulations coming on board. I was at a Bloomberg event on Tuesday. They were talking about millennials and artificial intelligence and new multi-assets. What's next?
We can talk
Too
hours,
much.
so what's next?
Too much to cover.
Yes. Look, indeed, I was a main speaker in one event back in November, and actually, the concept of the event was upcoming regulatory changes, and I had to cover it in 1 hour, which was obviously impossible. So I tried to study all the different regulations that are coming out in Europe, and they amount to thousands of pages.
I remember seeing all of the slides.
So I'll try to focus only on the online Forex CFD industry, which is, I think, more appealing to the audience here, and not generally speak about regulations that are coming for financial services. Actually, we have seen recently some local regulations coming from SciSec, such as the negative balance protection that Claudius mentioned, some minimum default leverage, and etc. That all this stem from actually ESMA itself. It's not something that SciSec happened to invent by itself. there has been an ESMA Q&A document on CFDs, which within 1 year, it started from being a 15-page document to a 100-page document, specifically addressed to the CFDs brokers. So the regulators, and this document is updated constantly by ESMA. So the regulator and all the regulators in EU, since this document has been issued providing guidelines to the industry, must issue themselves the specific guideline for the local industry. So we are expecting some more things to be issued in that area, given the ESMA guidelines and Q&A. We have seen some consultation papers by CISEC, such as the changes to the Investors' Compensation Fund recently. We have seen some consultation papers on liquidity providers and how NIBs. So we expect that this sort of rules will expect rules on these areas soon. I cannot say when, but sometime soon it's coming. We have big changes on AML, which is supposed to happen in June, July this year, on the Anti-Money Laundering Directive 4, which affects brokers, since people open account, and since you open account with a broker and deposit money, these rules apply to you. And we have MiFID II coming up and PRIPS coming up in January 2018. I don't expect MiFID II to have, specifically for Forex broker, dramatic changes, I mean, in the way they do business. Yes, there will be some changes. For example, some of them might need to be a market maker going forward, or be categorized as systematic internalizer. We'll see that, how things will develop. And also we have the PRIPS, which is a 3-page document called the KID, Key Investor Information Document, that all brokers, CFD brokers, will need to issue and post on their website and give it to the client before they can start trading. This document has to have a specific format with specific information inside and specific analysis that will help the brokers understand what the product they are investing in is. So just a very, very, very brief summary on what we expect.
Brief.
Laura, if I can add something, I totally agree with what Alexandros said. I will say something in addition to that. As I said at the beginning, this industry always had challenges. There was always changing in a very fast level, and it will be changing in the future. I think the biggest change now, not only in Cyprus, but in the whole EU industry, is that the days that companies could choose to play with the regulation, to hide things under the carpet, to just survive for some period of time, taking advantage of certain loops in the regulation, are long gone. Currently, companies have only one option: to accept that there is regulation, to accept that there will always be changes, to identify any opportunities, because challenges and opportunities always go together. It's not only challenges and only opportunities. And move quickly to adopt these changes and play with the new rules. These will be the successful companies. The companies that will follow the traditional model of nagging first about why the regulation changed and the good old days, and then move to phase 2. All right, I will continue doing what I have been doing so far, but I will try to bend a little the regulation as to be covered, and then suddenly realize and moving to phase 3 that it doesn't work, I need to comply. It's probably too late by the time they reach phase 3, and they have wasted a lot of time finding excuses or not following the regulation. And I will just something very small about CISEC. I'm actually doing some work for them. I do a number of inspections on their behalf. I'm not here representing SISEC, I'm here representing myself. And I will say something about the regulator. Ideally, they want companies that are full in compliance. In practice, nothing is perfect, but effort, real effort from companies is highly appreciated, not just from SISEC, but from any other regulator. Not having the effort or doing some window dressing and therefore it's just talks is something that again will be highly unappreciated, not from only SISEC, but from any other regulator. Thanks,
Thank you
Laura.
very much. So we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much to Claudio, Yanis, Donna, and Alexandros.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, this panel. I think it was highly informative. And we talked a lot about SISEC, so I think there's no better time to mention that today at 4 p.m. right here, the head of SISEC, Dimitra Kalagaro, if I pronounced it right, would give a keynote speech. So it's highly recommended to attend and hear what she has to say. Thank you very much. Enjoy your lunch.
Thank you.